All right, we back again with Professor Cris Houston. Okay, they say the third time's a charm.
This was gonna be a choice.
If anybody's listening, please hit hit uh, hit the comment. Let's see if you can hear what we're saying now. I think your audio and stuff should be working pretty well. So I'm going to step right there, and you can go ahead and let's talk about what we were finishing up on. We were talking about things needed in the community that you feel
Yes.
like some of the challenges you've had to deal with.
Yes. So I was stating that one of the challenges that I have seen, because we provide a lot of our services at my day job at McLennan Community Investment Fund for free, especially our business development training services, and also with the things that I'm doing in the community, such as the mental health awareness services. When you are providing services to the community free of charge, that means that your budget is usually smaller than it would be if you were a corporation or some sort of well-funded organization. And so marketing becomes a challenge, and you have to exercise creativity and use your professional networks, your personal networks, your community partnerships, your social media marketing channels, your email marketing channels, just to get the word out. We would love to reach a lot more people to let them know that we are providing these services in the community. And so that marketing challenge is always there. I think another challenge that we face is that the services, as well as the community programs, are often underutilized by those whom the programs are designed to serve. So that is connected with marketing, and that means that we need to get the word out there. But in Waco, where you have people working multiple jobs, where you have people caring for small children who have sports and after school activities, or they're caring for ailing loved ones, parents, spouses, etc., their time just isn't there for them to take advantage of some of these resources. And so I think the antidote to that challenge is meeting the people where they are, coupled with a better marketing campaign.
And I believe that. Have you identified opportunities to increase the impact of your endeavors? What are some of the things you've identified?
So one of the best ways to bring people in on anything, to get that buy-in, is relationship building. Um, Partnerships need to be built. Partnerships are already being built. But for example, when we started this mental health awareness programming, that means your network, my network, Sheila Brown's network, all the people who were involved to help launch that program, we were able to market through all of our networks. And that means we were able to get the word out to more people. So building relationships with people that can serve as community partners, building relationships with community leaders who have these networks, that is one opportunity to increase the impact. We have to spread the word. We have to get people to trust that if they come to get services from an organization like McLennan Community Investment Fund, or if they spend their free time coming to a mental health awareness program like the one on September 28th, that they will get something of quality that they can use and that they can leave with. And so that trust is built also through these partnerships. If those who know me hear me say, hey, they're giving out resources, they're doing small business loans, or they're giving out information, they're more likely to go. If those who know you hear you saying you should come and check this out, it's a great learning opportunity, they're providing resources for small business owners, they're more likely to go. So I think that saying better together, stronger together, we have got to increase our ability to forge these partnerships. That is one way to increase the impact of the programs and services that we are providing.
I know we had sound technical difficulties with the sound, but you brought out something that was really important about voter registration, and you were setting up those at different locations. You might want to share that with those that couldn't hear us earlier.
Yes. So so we talked about things that I'm doing to serve and to better our communities. And right now, through the Waco NAACP and other organizations like the Waco Central Texas chapter of the Links, getting out the vote is one of the top priorities. And so we are working together on these mental health awareness programs that are going to be September 23rd at Mentor Waco. This one is a program for the youth. Voter registration tables will be set up thanks to the Brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We have another event that is for adults, a mental health awareness event on Saturday, September 28th. That one is entitled Processing Trauma in Our Black Communities, focusing on depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It will be at 10 a.m. at Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network, 6400 Imperial Drive. The Brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity are setting up voter registration tables there. If you remember, way back last year in September, they were the ones who set up the voter registration tables at that event.
They provided security at the Thanksgiving distributions. I say, is that the church?
Yes.
So the pastor don't need to say some things, but
yes,
somebody need to have order.
Yes, and they were there.
We got you.
They were there.
I don't need to know what y'all do, how y'all do it, but we need order outside.
And they did.
They did a great job.
Yes,
too.
they did. And then we'll be back at Metro Waco on September 30th for another youth mental health awareness event. That one is on suicide awareness. As I mentioned before, the mental health focus has to do with the fact that this is National Suicide Awareness Month, and this is National Recovery Month, bringing attention to the fact that addiction or substance use disorder is a mental health issue. And so we will culminate with that youth program on suicide awareness, and our Brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity will be registering voters. We talked a little bit about what one can do to register. There are voter registration drives all over up until the last day to register people to vote, which is October 7th. Project VEER and some of the other organizations are pushing out the information on those campaigns. Also, you can go online to www.votetexas.gov or gov, and you can check your voter registration status. People are being removed from the polls, and some people rolls, the voter registration rolls, and we are asking people to go on there about every week or 2 weeks up until October 7th and make sure that you are registered to vote. If you aren't, then that is when you can do so before October 7th. Vote www.votetexas.gov. There's a tab where you click, am I registered? And then the computer system, the online system will walk you through all the steps to check your voter registration status. We have had people who have been registered to vote for decades and who have voted in every city, county, state, and federal election who have found within the last couple of months that they are not registered to vote. So please take it seriously. If you're registered in the past, you need to confirm that you are still registered. And if you find that you aren't, you need to take advantage of one of these voter registration drives to do so.
Now, of course, during the political year, it's always issues. All of a sudden, people don't know how to vote. All of a sudden, mail-in ballots, all of that stuff. I think it's a diversionary tactic that's being used as propaganda. But when they start bullying you and purging your name off voters list, then it's a major issue. That is a voter suppression. I vote, but I always check too. I check to make sure.
Wise.
Because they will send things out. Have your address changed? Have you moved? And if your address have changed, send the card back. But I'm not going anywhere, but I still go back behind them to make sure, hey, that I'm still registered, because you never know.
Right.
You go down there because it would be an ugly situation if I go down there to vote and for some mysterious reason my name
is not on the roll.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yes, and one of the things that the organizations who are working to get the vote out all over the nation are telling people to do is go vote during early voting. That way, if you discover a problem that can be fixed, it can't be fixed if you are not registered before October 7th. But if you discover a problem that cannot be fixed, you still have the remainder of early voting period to vote, and you have the actual election day to vote. So that is one of the benefits of early voting. If there's anything, your address changed and the state of Texas didn't register it or something like that, you still have time so that you can register to vote and cast your vote.
I always vote early because I don't like the traffic. I vote early. The first 3 or 4 days of early voting, the lines are long.
They are.
But I always like to go in there and be done with it.
Yes. And let me announce that. Let me see. In Texas, the early voting period is October 21st through November 1st. And you should be able to vote anywhere in McLennan County as long as you're registered to vote in McLennan County. At any voting station, you should be able to vote.
Now, see, my wife takes advantage of that. She goes over on the Paul Quinn campus over there. I
Me
guess
too.
I guess that's no longer the why, but she goes over there and she said, "We're going." I said, "I'm going right down the street over here. I'm not driving all the way across town." But with her, it's more impactful.
One of the things that we have seen is that some polling stations have been closed. So she is trying to show them that if they put a polling station over there in East Waco, that it will be utilized because those numbers are being tracked everywhere. And so I go there to vote too, and I don't live in East Waco, but I vote in East Waco to make sure that this community still has a polling station and there can be no question as to whether it is needed because a sufficient number of people turn out to vote at every election at that polling station.
Okay, I'll go over there. I see your point.
Your church is over there.
Yeah.
You always over there, Pastor.
Well
You might as well.
Laziness sometimes. Laziness is the mother of invention. But I will make it my business to go over there because I never looked at it like that.
Your wife is a Paul Quinn College grad.
Yeah.
That area means something to her. And East Waco native, right? She's from East Waco.
Well, no man's land.
Yeah.
It's like over there by Sam's.
That's where my folks live.
She said nobody claimed it.
That's where my folks live. They call it no man's land, but it's East Waco.
Oh, yeah. But she always go over there. And I think she would go over there because it's closer to where she get off work.
Probably.
See, me being off during the daytime, I can meander around, but I will make it my business to make sure I'm over there this next time.
We need that polling station.
I'm going to do that.
Yes, thank you.
Because I hadn't thought about that. You got to get those numbers up to prove that.
You need it. Like the schools. If there's poor attendance in schools, the state of Texas will tell you, we can send these funds over here where the attendance is what it needs to be. Where I'm from in Houston, they shutting down schools because of poor attendance. They say they can't justify the expense of keeping it open.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and I'm not going to get political, but what do you think about Kamala Harris? I told my wife this when Biden made her the vice president and they actually won. I had a little tear in my eye. I had a little tear because she looked over there at me. I guess in my old age, I must have been a bad dude in younger days because I'm so sensitive now.
It's coming back.
I told her, I say the most abused, neglected, rejected creature ever created was a black woman. And now to see the black women rise, I'm like, look, what do I need to do? It's y'all season. Not just because you're a woman, but you qualified. And women can bring people together that men can't. See,
right?
This is
because we cook.
Oh,
we feed them. We treat them nice. We rub it. We put a Band-Aid on that little boo-boo, and
Oh, no. Well, you got a point there.
Talk to them sweet.
But I look at how a man would I'm a man. This way we're gonna do it. The woman can come together because she got people crossing the aisle smiling, not grudgingly, but they laughing. And so when I see educated women like you, women of color, you got a PhD from
JD, Doctor of Jurisprudence, not Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Jurisprudence.
Like you can go
JD.
You got the same thing she got.
Same thing she got. Went to an HBCU, which was her HBCU's rival. We are Hampton University is the real HU. Howard pretends to be.
But to see qualified African American women, not just it's campaign season. I'm not gonna get off into the other boy, but to see educated, qualified people like you from Houston actually working here in Waco, Texas. I think a lot of times the people in Waco don't celebrate, don't appreciate people that's bringing what we need to our city. You're bringing stuff, a lot of those programs, a lot of things that I've worked with you on, I didn't even know they existed in Waco. You mean we can do this, people can do that? And as you were making mention of a doctor that provided health care at a low cost.
Yes, sir. So first I'll round up that other conversation with saying I cannot endorse any particular candidate, but I will say that I see myself in people like Vice President Kamala Harris. And I see myself in people like our first Black female Supreme Court Justice, Justice Ketanji Brown Clark, who also went to my, well, I'm younger. I went to her alma mater, which is Harvard Law School. And there's a saying that we tell little kids when we're trying to encourage them to dream and to set goals and to aspire to achieve in life. If you can see it, you can be it. And so I look at the Constance Baker Motleys, the Oprah Winfreys, the Fannie Lou Hamers, the Harriet Tubmans, the Kamala Harrises, the Ketanji Brown Jacksons, the Sonia Sotomayor, who was the first woman of color on the Supreme Court. And I just know that if their dreams are possible, so are mine. And I can tell other Black and brown, yellow, red little girls, if their dreams are possible, so are ours. And that's the importance, regardless of who wins or loses the presidential election, to be able to see that we see possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beauty, to see that sister who looks like me. I went to the same law school she went to, on the United States Supreme Court. That lets us know what is possible for us. And to me, that is the gift. I was watching something, somebody sent it to me, and it said, you say the most dejected and whatever, but they say whatever is the dejected and abused creature on earth is a Black woman, but they say whatever don't kill you, make you stronger. I was watching a person speak who is white, who said it, the most formidable creature on the planet is the Black woman. And he went all the way back to Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and came all the way up to today. So I say that we have a strength that is often overlooked, but that we must recognize and we must cultivate. And we must partner with our Black men in order to protect our families and to serve together in our communities. And just to, as Gandhi said, be the change we want to see in this world. We have role models. One of my role models is Dorothy Height. She was the president of National Council of Negro Women. She was a trailblazer, not in the YMCA, but the YWCA. And she lived to be almost 100 years old. And I was president of National Council of Negro Women when I was in college, and Hampton University brought Miss Dorothy Height there. Dorothy Height was part of Dr. King and Abernathy and Roy. I can't think of the NAACP president's name right now, whatever his name was, and all of the ones with John Lewis who organized the civil rights movement, but we don't see her in the pictures because she was a woman, but she was right there. And a lot of the civil rights that Americans enjoy, she had a hand in fighting for. She's one of my role models. So we have so many Black women whom we can look up to and whom we can pattern ourselves after, because they were and are such excellent role models for us. And they teach us to lift as we climb. That is why I've always worked in the nonprofit sector. I believe
as we climb.
Lift as we climb. It's
Explain.
an African proverb. As you are climbing, as you are achieving, excelling, and advancing, you lift your people up with you. So as you climb the career ladder, the corporate ladder, the economic ladder, you lift your people up with you. And those Harriet Tubmans, those Fannie Lou Hamers, those Constance Baker Motleys, and Dorothy Heights, and all of them, they exemplify, they live it. They risk their lives, literally, for the rest of us to be able to vote, to be able to go to certain schools, to be able to live in certain neighborhoods, have certain jobs, and live in an America that is not like the one you and my parents and grandparents grew up in, where we had segregation. And so they taught us to lift as we climb. And I believe in doing that.
I like that. Now, you said so many good things that I'm going to go back and listen to the audio and use some of these in sermons.
They're not copyrighted.
Okay.
You can use them.
I'm definitely gonna.
You don't even have to give me credit. Just use them. Get them out there.
I was studying this and it came to me that, why East Waco? Why, out of all the communities, now let's keep it real. Now, out of all of the communities, why did you choose East Waco? It just seems like, I know you're doing a great job everywhere, but I'm just a discerner. And I go by what I see. You spend a lot of time, like as if you have a intricate relationship with that community per se.
I do. Since Paul Quinn College was here, My connection to Waco has always been East Waco. My mother is from East Waco, where you say no man's land. My mama grew up in no man's land, like your wife did. But whenever we came to Waco, we were in East Waco. That is where our family reunions were when they were here. That is where Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner was when it was here, because my family members come from the Centerville, Madisonville area. I was born in Madisonville, but they left the cotton fields to come here. And so my roots are in East Waco. I still have relatives. We just had a family reunion in East Waco right behind Rappaport Academy, where Paul Quinn was. And my whole life, my mom saying, your cousin lives right there. That is the first thing. That is where my roots are. Most of my family members who are here either live there still or are from there. The other thing is, I believe that you have to figure out where the need is and decide how you're going to meet it if your heart is led to do so. Well, East Waco is at the bottom of all the statistics: economics,
it's the food desert,
education, health, food, all of that. It is where we need to be working the most in Waco, if you ask me.
Well, you know what? I would say this as well. Now, it's a lot of resources, and it's a lot of resources. I don't know how much. It's a lot of effort being put into East Waco by people that's from East Waco, or those of us who have churches in East Waco, or those of us that have passion for East Waco. But one thing that kind of frustrates me is that with all the stuff that we do, you can't hardly get people that actually live there to volunteer to help. They come to, I have people already telling me, when y'all passing out the turkeys, could I sign up right now, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how about you come help us assemble all of this? And so one of the things that's frustrating is to have a whole, and I'm not going to blanket cover, but most of the time, all the stuff you'll see 100 people out there working at the church for Thanksgiving, nobody from East Waco. How can that be?
Pat Miller was there, and who else? We can name them. Norman Manning.
Norman.
We can name them.
I'm just not talking about. I'm talking about workers.
I know.
But you don't see too many, and I really want to emphasize that this year. I want the community to come help make up some boxes.
Pastor, maybe they call me an optimist, and maybe that's why you said you see me doing so much, because I just tend to have a more a positive outlook. I've never concerned myself with who wasn't working. I have always been among the number. They say about 20% of the people do all the work. That's fine with me. What I will say, though, is this. I want to throw this out there for us to chew on. If you think about the fact that East Waco is under-resourced, and you think about the effect that has on people, what bandwidth do they have to be worrying about volunteering somewhere? Sometimes we have to bring the resources so that people can catch their breath. I know what my income level is. I know that it is not what the typical person who lives in East Waco's income is. So I can make all my ends meet, plus keep some to save, some to invest for retirement on one job. One job that I had the flexibility to do stuff like come here and interview, because I'm not punching a clock. But I don't think that is the case for all of our brothers and sisters in East Waco. I also think that one of the biggest, when you say under-resourced, one of the biggest resources that they lack is knowledge and information.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that we need them out there, but I think that we need to give them some of the resources and support that they need so that they can have the capacity to be out there volunteering. It is a heavy lift to ask somebody who can't pay their bills from month to month to volunteer.
Well, if you teach them how to fish, if you give them a fish, they go eat for a day, teach them how to fish.
That's right. I would say we need to push for more resources so that people will be in a position then to breathe, to put their feet up, to go out and stuff Thanksgiving basket boxes. But until they get there, I say we keep stuffing them boxes with the ones that have the time and can do it. Because you and I both know we run out every year. Oh, yeah. The year before last, we didn't even make it an hour.
In less than an hour, you done passed out 300 of them. Right. And it's getting close to that time again now. That's my heart. That's probably the most satisfying feeling I have throughout the year is when they pick up that box and it's real food in there. It's stuff all the lady has to do is go buy milk and eggs.
That's it.
Everything. And it's people that
The whole
I
Thanksgiving
got a lot
dinner.
of people that help me, like Sheila Brown, like you,
My
and
friend.
Life Cathedral Church, and some of the other entities.
Pat and Robert Miller.
Oh man, I don't even want to start talking about Pat.
It made me cry.
I miss Pat so much. She was Pat challenged us. She said next year we're gonna do 500.
She did.
She said
She
we're
did.
gonna do 500.
And we got to do it for her.
We got to do it for her this year, because this is the first year without her in it.
She died this year.
And it's just, man, we're gonna have to really put that up. We need to name something after her. I wish they would name the Bridge Street Amphitheater Plaza. Name it the Pat Chisholm Miller Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was something that we can do in
We
her
need
honor.
to think on that.
And we need to rally everybody together to do it. You know, because
she didn't just serve, but she was the rock for Commissioner Lester Gibson when he served in that county commissioner seat. So decades of service to McLennan County.
32 years with him. And I remember first time I walked in there, said, "Hey, is Luster here?" This was our conversation. Is Luster here? She said, "Yeah," because I had that open door policy with Commissioner Gibson. I could just go talk to him. We'd argue, we fuss, but we brothers, you know.
Right.
And I tell him, I'm a bull too. I'm a bull too. I got horns too. And that was the length of my conversations with Pat. Is Luster here? Do you know when he's going to get back? And then when she ran for commissioner, I said, well, I don't have no choice but to help you because
I
got to. And by working with her, that you can't be around her and not be influenced by the positive energy that little lady has, some positive energy.
And the heart of service.
And she would push you to do things. She put me on a committee on that Doris Miller Monument Committee. Got to raise $10 million. I said, $10 million? What do you? Say, now you own that committee. I put your name on that committee. So I say, well, you just can't say no to.
Right.
But
that's for a good cause.
We're from a different era, maybe a different dynamic. Whereas when you have community leaders, I'm not talking about people that's just trying to make a name for themselves, draw a check, you know, but when you have people that are actually passionate about humanity, black, white, red, yellow, it don't matter.
Right.
They're passionate about the people. When they ask you to do something, you got to say yes. You have to say yes. And that's the way I am. If you're doing something positive and people come up to me and ask, would I be a part of it? How can you really say no?
It's tough.
Can't say no. And
if you say no, you say, maybe I can get my deacon, or maybe I can get this person to help, and I'll be back in the fold as soon as I'm free and available. But you can't just say no.
You just cannot say that. And did we miss on anything? I know we had a break. Pause there for a moment. Did we miss anything that we need to look at? What are some of the community partners and leaders that can support you, that you need them to support you? These are people that if they would open up they have the resources to open up to help you.
Who are some of them?
In there? Yeah.
Yes. So McLennan Community Investment Fund, or McSIF, where I work, is providing small business loans to people in low to moderate income communities. And we also do the business development training. This allowed us, when we opened our doors in 2020, which, as I stated, was the best time to start anything, was difficult for people. And we were able to provide small business loans that help people to grow and maintain their businesses, job creation, boosting the economy, providing things like cultural arts and some of the businesses that we have lent to, restaurants and other things, to just make this community better. We need to spread the word about what we do. We don't have the visibility that a community bank and trust has, or that a Cadence Bank has, but we are in the business of making loans to small businesses, and we make those loans to small businesses in unbanked or underbanked areas. That means we keep people, out of the payday lender, out of the title lenders, out of the pawn shops. We keep them from draining their retirement and their savings to invest in their businesses. We keep them from using those high interest personal credit cards. But we need people to know that we are here. So who are the ambassadors who could help us, who could host events for us to come and speak to people who own businesses or who know people who own businesses? Those are people like the folks at our chambers of commerce in town, which we already have some relationships with and are members of. Those are people like you, our pastors, who have a lot of respect in the community and who know a lot of people, who know other pastors and others. So our pastors, our organizations that are designed to serve the community. So links, our Black fraternities and sororities, our organizations like the Teaching Sorority, Phi Delta Kappa, or NAACP. We're working to build partnerships with them. We do community and economic development work. And so those are some of the partners. Our government officials. I'm very pleased to announce that the city of Waco provides us with grant funds that make our work possible at McLennan Community Investment Fund, and also McLennan County. The county commissioners court are very big supporters of McLennan Community Investment Fund. We need those government officials to support us. Other nonprofits that serve people that we are trying to serve, they can help us to get access to people and to spread the word about the services that we offer. And the other thing is people who just care about the community, the betterment of the community. It could be individuals. We need all of those partnerships in order to truly reach the small business owners so that we can provide them with the education and the funding that they need to grow.
Well, you know, I'm happy and blessed that you always send me emails of upcoming events, and I always post them on all my social media
Thank you.
platforms. And I see here you have an event coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
So that is what you helped us to start. This is part 3. We're on our 3rd one. Unfortunately, one of the ones was the day that Commissioner Pat Miller was funeralized. And so it kind of threw our quarterly schedule off. But this event is on Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It will be held at Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network on 6400 Imperial Drive. The title is Processing Trauma in Our Black Communities, with a focus on depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. As we discussed previously, the coronavirus pandemic gave birth to another pandemic globally. It was the mental health pandemic. Just as more Black people were affected by the coronavirus and died, so too is the case for our mental health. One of the statistics that breaks my heart is this. Prior to the pandemic, African Americans, or just Black people, whether they were Afro-Latino or Afro-Caribbean, did not commit suicide at an appreciable rate. Do you know the demographic with the highest rising suicide rate is Black youth?
Oh, wow.
So it's not only us, but it's our babies. So we're doing 2 events with Mentor Waco Youth. That's today, and that is on the 30th of September. And then we're doing this event for adult mental health awareness. We are trying to combat the stigma associated with mental illness. Some mental health conditions are temporary. If you lose your mother, your father, your child, or your spouse, you are going to have a hole in your heart, maybe even a hole in your soul. They have grief therapy that professional therapists are trained to provide. I've taken it before. Some mental illness is more long-term. Most of it is treatable, but there is such a high stigma in America, especially in communities of color, around admitting that you have a mental health condition, whether it's temporary or long-term, and let's add drug addiction to mental illness because that's what it is. And there is also a stigma associated with actually accessing mental health care. People would rather take a medication that their primary care doctor can prescribe for depression, anxiety, or something else than go and get therapy to treat the root cause and to promote healing. We have got to combat the stigma around mental health illness and mental health care access. And that is one of the things we're trying to do. It's so important that we get to the youth because their ideas, their worldviews, they are not formed yet. And they can also change their parents and grandparents. So that event is dealing with trauma. And I want to say this. I went to the high school for health professions, 9th through 12th grade. My high school was founded by Houston Independent School District and Baylor College of Medicine. I worked at Ben Taub in the medical center. It is the main trauma center in Houston. I only associated trauma with something physical, gunshot wound, a fire, a motorcycle accident. I was being trained to become a medical doctor or a nurse or something. And I don't know that trauma is also psychological. Didn't learn it till I was an adult. Trauma has a lot to do with the physical and mental illnesses that plague America: heart disease, diabetes, a lot of the autoimmune diseases like lupus goes back to trauma. But we have to educate ourselves as to first identify what it is.
Yeah.
And then we can access all the services and resources around trauma-informed care and trauma care. But as a community, how many times growing up until you reached 18 did you ever hear the word trauma related to psychological harm?
Never, not one time. Not one time my whole life.
I didn't either. Guess what else? I was raised by a psychiatric nurse. My grandmother was the first Black nurse to integrate the VA hospital in Houston.
Wow.
And I didn't know that trauma wasn't just a motorcycle accident or a gunshot wound, but it had to do with things that harm you psychologically. I didn't even know.
We just got a comment from a young man that I know real well. His son was killed.
Oh my goodness, I'm
They're
sorry.
still dealing with that.
Oh, sorry.
How painful, emotional that is for them. What would your recommendation be?
Are they in Waco?
They're in Waco.
So, can you connect me with them?
I would definitely do that.
I have a resource list that I have put together. We gave it out way back in September. That resource list, are they African American?
Yes.
That resource list has contact information for African American psychotherapists here in this area, number one. It also has a list of mental health care facilities, hospitals, and other types of facilities, even some who treat people who do not have medical insurance, who cannot afford to pay for the sessions or the medication or what have you. That is also on that list. It's a growing list. But one of the things that we know is that there is some mistrust in our community around healthcare because of how we're treated. And it is the case that if you can have a healthcare provider of color, especially if your race affinity is what they call it, it changes our health outcomes. That applies to mental health too. People who understand your culture, who understand you and your world, your life experience in this world, are more likely to be people that you can open up to and talk about your pain and your fears and your worries. And so I'm happy to provide that list to you in electronic format so that you can share it. But I'm also happy to provide it to, you said the gentleman?
Yes.
Who needs it. And some of those therapists, the Black therapists here in town, I could never go to them because they my friends now. I told you I believe in building relationships so that you can provide resources to people. But Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network is one of our partners. Remember at the church, they sat there right at the front and had that resource table with all that information on the mental health and mental health care. They have been our partners since then. And all of the programming that we are doing here, that is the first resource that we have. Waco Family Medicine has been at our events. They were at our Black Family Wellness Expo, which was anchored in mental health as well. They also, between Heart of Texas Behavioral Health Network and Waco Family Medicine, people can get access to mental health care whether they have insurance or not, whether they have the inability to pay for those services. And then there are people who are doing private counseling that will take your insurance and so forth. I hope to connect people in the community with all of those resources.
All right, Jason Michael say, please give her my information.
Got it. I'm on it.
You know I will, bro.
I'm on it.
We're yet praying for you guys, and
so sorry for your loss.
You know we're sorry about everything that happened.
Yes.
But your being here just brought him out to the sun because he hadn't wanted to be around and talk about it. So now he's reaching out. So now we're going to make sure. That's why I believe
3 Black male therapists that I have identified here in Waco. I would like to connect him with them.
Okay, I will make sure I give give you his information to share with him.
Please do. And even more Black female therapists.
Oh yeah, because we got a lot of things that we're dealing with. Well, I mean, not me personally, but it's a lot out there. It's a big old ocean of issues within the people. You can fix the sidewalks and you can build new houses, but that ain't how you fix the people. It's people that are broken internally, and we can preach to them. We
Yes.
can pray with them.
Yes.
They can read their Bible. But I think God
Give them
anoints
good jobs,
people. Yeah.
give them a nice house,
But
all that.
God uses more than preachers and ministers to do his will, to help fix broken people. And you're definitely one of those resources, one of those individuals that we duly trust.
Thank you. Healing.
Healers.
Healing. That's what we need. All of us.
What did we miss out on anything? Did I fail to mention something?
I didn't answer one of your questions.
Okay.
You asked me to talk about another healthcare resource that has just come to our community. Trevin Rube is a nurse practitioner here in town. He wants to see healthcare access increased in this community. He has founded Heart of Texas Direct Primary Care, and you can obtain primary healthcare without insurance through a subscription. So just like you have your cable subscription.
Yeah.
So and I do not want to be wrong, but I think it may be about $70 a month. You have access to a primary care practitioner who can be called to set up a medical appointment in person within 72 hours of your call, or who does telehealth. So let's say you got COVID and you show him that little test and say positive. He can send a prescription to a pharmacy so that you can get Paxlovid or antibiotics or something like that. And so he is able to provide people. There's a spot between where you don't qualify for Medicaid, Medicare, and all of those other government-assisted medical insurances, and where you may work for yourself and you don't have employee-sponsored medical insurance. There's a gap. Most of us are getting insurance through the marketplace, and we know that it can be $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 or more a month, especially for people with families. This is an alternative to that. So self-employed people, I think, are the ones that he's really reaching, because you and your kids can have affordable health care through Heart of Texas Direct Primary Care. We got
to get him out here, and if you could help me connect me with him, and we can get some of these work again. This young man said, please give her my information. If your number ain't changed, Jay, I got you, bro. You know I got you.
I will. And I'm sure that he will be willing to come and talk to people. He can do a much better job than I can about informing people of the services, the primary care services he provides. Before I leave here, you will be connected with him, because this is what people need. Health is life.
Oh, yeah. Well, I sure appreciate you taking time out to come be a part of this. We got a little glitch, but you stay with me. I appreciate
We're not going to be defeated.
We're not going to be defeated. Absolutely. So this is Attorney Cris Houston, right here locally. And she's a single woman, so I don't give out her number. So, yeah.
with a big old daddy with a gun.
Daddy got a big old Daniel Boone
big
musket.
Daddy with a gun.
He got a Daniel Boone musket. So, but thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you.
And God bless you. We will begin with you after the show to get that information to the young man.
And you can find me at www.
Let me create a banner here.
www.mccif.org or org. That's the website. No, just .org. org. And that is the website. And the phone number is 254-292-2825. So that's how you can reach me, especially if you need a small business loan or know someone who does, or you want to take advantage of our free business development training workshop.
All right, that'll work. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for having me.
We definitely, this can't be the last time.
It will
We'll
not.
do it right. We'll have some grapes and some drinks.
That's
and
all
some-
right. That's all right.
But thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Appreciate all of you. You can go back and watch this on the YouTube channel. Just go to Carlton Stimson page and on YouTube, or go to my channel and hit that subscribe button while you're there, and you can get this pertinent information that Attorney Cris Houston has shared at this time. All right. Well, God bless all of you till we see you again this afternoon. Church It Ain't Easy, 6:30 to 7:30 today.
Amen. So